Like, I'm really enjoying my Xbox, but
Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to a special episode number 124 of We the GamerCast, the official podcast of WeTheNerdy.com, and it comes to you normally every Monday on iTunes, Google Play, and Mother Lovin' YouTube. But guess what? You made us better at Patreon.com/MakeUsBetter. That means every month 2 returning guests. And this is the first of the Mega Dads. It's Adam Leonhardt, and it wouldn't happen unless it was for people like Adam Leonhardt and everybody over there at Patreon, like our executive producers, like Mr. Platinum, executive producer Corey Hicks, gold executive producer Sheldon, Benedict, and all of our gentlemen executive producers are back. Nick Milicia from Next Level Games, Joel Brooks, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, Jesse Armstrong, Glauco, Shaffer, David Ray, Mike Drummie, Brendan Myers, Aaron Doherty, Martini Jean, and Kieran Smith Lincoln. It's happening. Adam Leonhardt is back. This is an amazing chat we had last night, and I'm excited to share this with you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show at patreon.com/makeusbetter. This is something that I wanted to do, and it's nice to know that you want it as well and that you support us to such an amazing level that this is now happening. So why don't we get right into it? Before we jump into the chat with him, if you're on the video on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Google Play and all that other stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow Adam Leonhardt at The Art of Adam L. And there's a link on his Twitter. You can buy his shirts, which we'll talk about a little bit. Where this is gonna be a real good chat. Let's get right into it. Here he is, Mega Dad number 1, Adam Leonhardt. Take off your glasses and have a look at yourself and like go, is that what I look like? Like, why would I ever take off my glasses?
when I take off my glasses, my visuals only improve. I'm like, oh,
that's
a good. Pretty damn good, Larry.
Yeah, you can't see any.
No flaws at all.
Yeah, it's like you just wipe like Vaseline over your lenses of your pupils.
I do that too sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I think actually everything is working. That's sometimes an assumption I shouldn't make, and I do, and then I don't have a show.
Is this video now?
The whole thing is. You're good. You look good.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's. I don't know. I'm not even gonna touch anything because God knows what was happening with my Skype yesterday, and it's all updated. Is it updated for you? Are you on Mac?
Yeah. I'm on Mac, but it is the new Skype, and it's crap.
What the shit?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, okay. We all have to change to Discord, I think, Adam. Like, I think
somebody will have to hold my hand and show me the way.
I guess you don't have to worry about it with Mega Dads. Like, you guys are like, you can touch each other in person. You can smell each other, and you can get all sticky.
We seldom have to use Skype, so
that's pretty good.
We're lucky that way.
How is doing the show live and how's that going when you guys do
when
video?
we do it live? It's such a mess. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a complete disaster.
But I wanted to ask you because you're making people feel better by saying that, because everybody is having a hell of a time with stupid Skype and going live and everything. It's awful.
It's awful for like the normal reasons.
Yeah.
But we just, I don't know, like it's so messed up. We do it like the second Thursday of the month at like random times, and it's just not structured. And
it's like Easter.
We're gonna have to rethink how we're attacking this live thing. We're actually doing it this week.
Oh, that'll be good.
But it's like I never even know when it is. I text John today. I'm like, "Are we doing this? Is this happening?" He's like,
"Was there a Thursday that like snuck in there? Like, was the first a Thursday? Because then you never. Oh man, you got.
We don't have the initiative or the drive that some of these other guys do to like, they stick to their weekly regime and this is what we do. And with us, it's just kind of like, you want to do this now? Yeah,
But
sure. Throw up a
there's
tweet.
the routine makes it a little easier. It takes the decision making out of it. It's sort of just like you sort of wake up and go like, oh, Sunday. Oh, yes, this is what I have to do on a Sunday or whatever. Like that's why actually these are tougher. Like the returning guests are a little tougher because they can happen at any time. Like I don't really. That's actually a very close parallel. It's kind of like nobody knows when a person's going to come back because I don't know when that's going to happen. Right. It's not the 15th or the 1st and the 14th or the 28th or whatever. So I feel you, man.
It's tough. It's tough. It's only getting
makes
tougher.
you almost just want to quit everything, right?
Right? Exactly.
Just leave it all. Put up
the new trend.
An ambiguous. Well, at least you put up a post. We just sort of let everybody. Hey. Special episode of If We're at Nintendo where Bobby's gonna break up with Sean live on the internet and then the very next day launch like he's dating a new girl.
I don't know that there's like a good way to do it though, because even like the way mine shook out, it was like people were confused. But and that's my fault, but
well, are you still figuring out like what happens though?
That's kind of it. Is like I probably should have waited because nothing's really changed yet. But I was just kind of like, screw this. I need to do something. And I don't want to just like do something and leave everybody wondering what's going on. So I caught everybody by surprise, honestly. Even my wife.
Oh, really?
Oh, she was like, "What are you doing exactly?"
It's that New Year is like the December sucks. Apparently, December's really hard, and then you kind of go like, something's got to change. What have I got in my control? And like this is one of those things that is in our control. It reminded me as before we get away from it, that post reminded me of when I was 14 or 15. I was dating a girl, and things were good, and then all of a sudden she's like, "I think we should break up in a couple months." Like
what? Wait, what?
Yeah, it was like so. Like we're dating now. Like, are we getting ourselves through Christmas?
This
basically?
is a real thing.
Yeah, that was like early high school kind of thing. Like I think we should break up in a couple months. And yeah, it's just one of those life lessons, I guess, of things.
Well, at least you were prepared.
I guess so. Like that's what I'm.
Right.
It's just weird. It's just very bizarre. But that's how I'm feeling with Megadeth. I don't know what to expect. I don't know. Like, I think something is going to change, but we're not sure. I feel like you're like, you could get roped back in, and then is that okay or is that a bad thing?
Well, are we going? Is this like the thing?
Yeah, we might as well.
Okay. Well,
is that okay?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that I didn't go off on a tangent and then.
But you know what the good news is, Adam? Like, if we do, like, if this is a shit, that means we're almost done. We can go to bed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. No, okay. So the whole thing with my Megadad's decision was basically what it all boiled down to was I stretched myself entirely too thin. I've been doing a lot of Megadad stuff. I've been doing a lot of side commission stuff. I'm the new father of a 2.5-month-old baby girl. So like time just wasn't even a thing. Mm-hmm. I couldn't properly plan for anything. I was never caught up in regards to with everything that we do on Megadads, with the comic strip and the Patreon stuff. There was always like schedules. Mm-hmm. This needs to be done on this Sunday. This needs to be done on this Friday. And I was never ready for it. Mm-hmm. So I'd always be like putting up I'd be creating the comic strip the morning it was due. And I was hitting my deadlines, but I wasn't feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm just like rushing and forcing myself to get this out, it wasn't satisfying.
Yeah.
And I just needed to, the idea in my head was, I'm not going to stop doing this. I need to force myself to step away for a little bit, mm-hmm. so that I can see clearly what's going on. Mm-hmm. Because what was happening was I would just keep hitting those deadlines one by one, and I'd keep taking these things as they come. and I was never getting to a point where I could calm down and plan ahead. So I said to myself,
excited about the next thing.
Right. And so I said, the only way that I'm ever going to be able to properly evaluate my system and my schedule is if I just hit the brakes and step away for a little bit so I can figure out what that looks like. And so I wrote this post after basically just like a shitty night where I was just like, nothing's working. I'm frustrated. My wife like is taking care of both kids while I'm down here working on editing, and it didn't make sense. And I was upset. Excuse me. And I just said, I just need to stop. I just need to slow down. And once I've got this figured out, then we can start this train moving again. And so when I wrote that post announcing it, a lot of people took that to mean I was quitting. Or I was quitting a good chunk of everything. And that's not necessarily the case. I still don't know exactly what this looks like. Right now, I'm just kind of catching my breath.
Yeah. What has slowed down? Because, like, to me, it seems like you're still, a bunch of things I want to get to here, being the internet artist of 2017 is a big thing. But yeah, like, you have so much going on. What specifically I feel like I haven't noticed anything, but
right.
Maybe have you slowed down? Like, are you feeling better about it? Like, how's it gone?
And I think that was a big part of it, was the things that I was starting to worry about. Things like comic deadlines and Patreon bonuses. I think those were things that I was convincing myself were crucial that I hit a certain day or a certain time. And honestly, I feel like as long as I continue that content coming, people don't necessarily worry about the date, the specific day or time. And I was convincing myself that I had set this deadline for what I'm doing. I need to hit it. And stepping away, I'm hoping that people don't really notice that I have stepped back. And I think for the most part they haven't, because the biggest chunk of what we do is the podcast, and the podcast hasn't changed at all, nor will it change at all.
No, but maybe this is a stroke of genius. Maybe you've taken a step or tried to, edit, maybe not for as long. Maybe this is not a 7-hour opus that you're editing every time. So you just let the F-bombs fly, and it's almost like you're drawing extra special attention to, like, you're hitting like 17 birds with the same stone somehow. It's just like ricocheting off one after another in this comically enhanced, just this bash fest. You draw all this attention to the podcast. You spend less time editing it. People don't notice the other things that you're pulling back on because of so many F-bombs in the first. It's like Pulp Fiction. This is amazing. It's
kind of funny because John actually texted me the night after I wrote that blog, and he's like, "Have you seen the hits on the website?"
That's
and
hilarious.
I'm like, people are really excited that I'm going to be doing less, because it was like one of our biggest posts of the entire year.
It's a good way to start the year with big change.
Yeah, right?
It's on everybody's mind the beginning of January. Like, something's got to be different about this year.
And I think it's that. I think it's kind of cabin fever, because I live in the north like you, and it's like freezing cold, and you're just stuck inside, and I'm just like ready for a thaw, a spring thaw. And so I'm like stuck here with my thoughts, and I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's dark here all the time. I don't know about you. Like, I wake up, it's dark, I drive to work in the dark, I drive home in the dark. It's like that movie with Josh Hartnett with the vampires. Like, where they don't get any sunlight for 30 days or something.
Right.
I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down. That's a bad Simpsons reference.
That's a for real thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of depressing. And then when you add the fact that, you've got just tons of stuff to do, and the family is deserving of attention, and there's just like, you're just stuck in your own perpetual whirlwind, and you don't know how to get out of it. In regards to the F-bombs.
Yeah, they're awesome. That's 2 Megadads in a row, and I only say 2 because my memory doesn't go much farther back than that. But 2 intros in a row. You had the songs for December's, and then the F-bombs for January's. Sure. Like, you're setting the bar pretty high, Adam. I don't know how you're gonna do even better in February. Maybe a haiku, but I'll leave it to you.
John keeps telling me, he's like, you know what would save you a lot of time if you stopped like writing and recording these 10-minute intros to the podcast every month. And I'm like, but that's like one of my favorite parts is to do that opening, because I sit down here alone and I just like let my mind leak all over the computer. There was a conscious effort to do that opening, even though I was kind of nervous about it. And I think John was as well. Mm-hmm. One of the big things that I strive for with our podcast is to be different. Mm-hmm. I think in this indie podcast scene, it's really easy to be just another gaming podcast.
Yep.
And the more of them that percolate, and there are so many more of them every day, like every day I log on and there's like another new show. And so I feel like
they're getting canceled every other week too, though, so it's okay. that's no problem.
We'll cry about that later.
All right.
But I think that's one of the things that I strive for with our show is
big time.
We need to have a unique voice. And even at the beginning of our podcast, when we first launched, we were like the bullshit podcast where we would just talk about whatever, and then games would creep in. But even that, there's like 10 podcasts that are that now.
Sorry.
And that's, that's fine. That's good. I'm of 2 mindsets of it. Mm-hmm. I think it's good, but I also, part of me feels like we're oversaturated.
Yep.
And that's not a popular thing to say out loud, but I think I tweeted this like 6 months ago where I said the best and the worst thing about this community is anybody who wants to do a podcast can.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
And I think it's great for people to be able to express themselves, and I think everybody should be able to do whatever they want to do. But I also feel like that is kind of diluting the listener pool, because the people who were enjoying the content are now so focused on creating the content. And that would be like, what if everybody who went to the movies just all of a sudden started making movies?
Yeah, nobody's sitting in the seats anymore.
Nobody's in the theater anymore because everybody's making movies. So as I observe the landscape of the indie podcast scene, that is where I'm steering away from with our show.
This is an interesting thing, man. I'm glad you brought this up. Because I actually internalized this a little bit in a way of, like, what am I adding? Like, by doing this show, or by, like, whatever the show happens to be.
Right.
And that's often a consideration for me. And I think it's not uncommon to say most people who are creating content for every episode they put up, or maybe for every few episodes or whatever, every now and then the thought comes into your mind of, I could just shut this all down. Like, I don't need to do this. I could just I could close it all up and then walk away, and that would be it. And from the angle of not being just another podcast, that would almost be helpful. And there have been certainly times, especially with this show, where I'm like, maybe it is time. But on the other side, like, ultimately I come around to, like, this is actually good that I discover more about myself. I discover more about the friends around me. And then to your point of diluting the listenership, what I actually end up doing is discover more podcasts, and I actually end up listening to more shows. Like, I have, like, through doing this show, and I, like, when I talk to people and I tell them that I'm a fan of their show, like, I never make it up. Like, I never once go like, oh yeah, like, good for, like, I don't have to do that. I never like, so when I say to people, and I say it often, that I've been catching up on their stuff, I do. So it's this double-edged sword of, like, yeah, there's probably, by some measure, there's too many, but at the same time, like, I haven't found myself not listening to some. If anything, I'm not listening to the bigger guys.
I think it's just kind of the way I view it is I feel it is incumbent upon all of us as creators to ask that question, whether it's deservedly so or not, of what am I bringing?
Man, that's huge. Yes, absolutely. We should never take it for granted that somebody's going to listen. And it's the whole, you have so many choices. Thank you for choosing this one.
Right.
Like there should always be something. Chelsea and I talk about that a lot, actually, of whatever that factor is. Is it entertaining? Is it that you're unique? Or is there's something about the show that like drives people towards you? I don't think that there should ever be. I think sometimes there is an expectation that people fire up a podcast and think like there's going to be whatever the number is. Like, I actually don't even know how many people listen to the show, and I never want to know. I tell Dave, never share the numbers with me, because no matter what the number ends up being, I could potentially be really happy, or more than likely I'll be horribly, horribly depressed. But like, if it's 50, is that good or is that bad? Is it 500? Is it not 1,000? Is it, if it's 5,000, is it not 10,000? Like, no matter what, I'll just be kind of like, and that's not why we do it. I think
we got to measure success not by analytics, obviously. Like that's important, because you're like you said, there's never going to be that right number. Right. You're never going to be satisfied with a specific number, no matter what. To me, as an artist can be used in as broad a sense as possible. If I don't feel satisfied unless I know that we're doing something that is different, not necessarily better. I'm not trying to be the best, because that doesn't make sense. That doesn't compute.
Pretty much doesn't make sense. Yeah, exactly. There is nothing. If
I am doing something that is creatively satisfying and different, if I hear somebody else doing what we're doing, I want to steer away from it, because to me that space is taken. And the introduction of the F-bombs isn't to say we're the raunchy podcast, but at the same time, like, I'm a guy that grew up listening to George Carlin comedy, and language doesn't bother me as long as it is used. Appropriate isn't the right word, but don't swear for the sake. Right. Don't swear for the sake of shock value. Don't swear for the sake of being nasty. Swear if your language makes sense. Like there was, if you listen to George Carlin, he had such a way with language and the way he would deliver it and the way he would swear. It made sense in the context of what he was saying to you. And so the intro to our podcast, the whole point was to kind of catch you off guard and to make fun of the fact that we were swearing by swearing to explain the fact that we were swearing. Like that it was shock value, but to me it was like, the way I'm delivering this makes sense. Like, that's the joke.
And that was it. Was you started the podcast very We the GamerCast like this is gonna be a down moment, guys. Just before we get into the show, some of you may have noticed the blog post, and I'll be stepping away, and I knew, like, you. That's the thing about your intros that I love. You trick me every time, and then there's a moment where I'm like, oh yeah, he's fooling me, and then there's the turn, and then there's the comment, and like it was so great, because I was like, oh, I'm glad he brought it up, because I'm sure everybody's got a lot of questions, and I'm like, wait a minute. He's not clarifying anything. And then you make the turn, and then all the F-bombs come, right. And anyway, I just thought that was so good. And I'm glad. Did it save you time? Like, did you find that in the end?
Not at all. Oh, God. No, not at all. It takes me like 10 seconds to add sleep. No, it doesn't save me any time at all. But I think...
It has to. You must have just got that good at it.
A little bit. But honestly, like...
But we were you guys have the music, and it's timed up with topics or whatever.
It's the music that does it a lot of the time. But I mean, we won't get into the nuances of what I do to edit the show. But going forward with our show, we are taking a very hard look at what we're doing, what other people are doing. And 2018 is going to be a different year for Megadads. We're introducing more directed segments. We're going to kind of formalize some things, and hopefully we'll do some stuff that'll catch you off guard and trick you as we go forward. Because we're not done. We're not backing off. I may be still getting my life back together, but the show will carry on as normal. So
I love that you're here today because like I had been meaning to ask you and John to be on for like a month. I kind of like having these. There's 2 returning guests every month that We the Gamercast. I like kind of pairing them up. I was, in December, I was supposed to go live with Gabe Patillo, and about 15, 20 minutes before, from Married to the Games, he was going to be the second pairing with Tim Router. And like 15 minutes before, I'm like, I'm depressed, so I don't want to do this. And that probably pissed him off beyond belief. So I never got to finish off the December Married to the Games, but I wanted to have you on. But of course, it was like right after, and I think I'm going to slow down. And I'm like, can you do this one extra thing? Can you like spend an hour and record a podcast? But I wanted to talk to you.
This is easy for me. This is just sitting down and talking with a friend. This is nothing.
You could be doing anything else, though. What else would you be doing right now? You could be,
about
touching yourself or
about
playing a game.
10 minutes. About 10 minutes before we started, my wife and I were watching This Is Us and having a weep fest.
Oh God, Adam! Yeah. Why?
So I'm all introspective now. I'm
okay. Yeah, just ready for. Well, you already had your good cry, so now we can have a good laugh maybe together.
There we go.
Talk to me about this show, man. What the Do you? I have like a conscious effort to stay away from crap like this. I can't. I can't do it anymore, man.
It'll wreck you. It'll wreck you in all the right ways, especially as a parent.
Not the right ways.
Any parent, especially like new parents like us who are like just starting to figure out, oh my God, my life has just been shaped in a way that I never expected, should be watching this show because it encapsulates family life in a way that you never ever thought. It's the name of the show is perfect. This Is Us, because you watch it and you're like, oh my God, this is my family. Yeah. This is my family, and you will cry every week. Sometimes happy cries, sometimes sad cries, but oh, dude, you have to.
So
watch
are you watching it on the reg?
Oh yeah, every week.
You really? It wasn't just like
box of Kleenex.
Mondays are you make a whole thing of it. Okay, yeah.
Mondays are Bachelor.
Yeah.
Tuesdays, This Is Us.
I'm trying to remember what show it would have been that sort of like tipped me off to like I don't like feeling that way with it, and that's generally like why I don't watch TV. Like people often like kind of look at me a weird way when I'm like, what do you mean you don't watch TV? And like for the most part, it's just like it just makes me sad, and I do a good enough job of that on my own. Trust me, I can make myself sad all by myself.
We watch these shows, these dramas, these tear-jerking dramas, and we finish, and I'm like, my God, I'm the most boring person in the world. I never have these deep, meaningful conversations with people that they have every week on these shows.
That's the other part. That's the part I find really sad.
Great framework and analysis on life. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here in sweatpants right now. Mm-hmm. Just got done drinking some chocolate milk, and it's like, there's nothing special about me.
Did you blow bubbles? Did you drink from a straw? Maybe. Yeah, no, there's no TV. That's why Chelsea has to go watch TV with Johnny Casino. Because
is that it?
That's happening. They're watching Netflix shows together, and because I can't satisfy her in that way.
You can't. Well,
so I need my Texan friend to help me out there.
That sounds like an interesting story.
That's pretty much it. They just, I don't know. One of the last show I think I watched was 13 Reasons Why. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That'll make you super depressed. Yeah,
make you really think about what that would feel like. Did you watch it?
I did.
Good God.
That towards the end of that, what you're talking about,
yeah.
I couldn't get it out of my brain.
No,
for
me
days.
neither. Even right now, people who have watched it are thinking about it, and it's like, it's not good.
I don't know that I've ever seen anything on television that kicked me so hard in the teeth, where it was just like, regardless of what you felt about the rest of the show, that particular moment was the most gut-wrenching scene I've ever seen.
Because you're waiting for the camera to pull away, and it's like, no, she's still going.
It just doesn't. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's almost as heart-wrenching as that opening scene in Face Off where John Travolta's son gets killed as well. It's almost on the same level. Like, they're not exactly the same. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, wasn't his name Sean? Or was it Sean Archer? Hey, he was Sean.
He was Sean Archer.
Somebody's gonna remind us. How many projects you have on the go, man? Are you like, who do you have left to make a cartoon character? I don't think there is anybody left. Speaking of this growing super indie podcast, maybe Jason Lacey and Lucas Rose. Maybe that's it. But they're already making
my commission list is my docket is quite full.
Is it really? Oh, good one. Good. I like that.
It's been very lucrative for me, not just in the indie podcast scene, but like other things. Currently, I am designing the cover art for 2DCon, which is a local convention here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the third year that I've been working with those guys, so we're full steam ahead on that. I'm planning on wrapping that up by the end of the month, so I'll be able to share that with you guys. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Huge deal, man. Like that's you front and center, and that, I mean, we all do this. That's the kind of thing that's going to get you noticed.
And that's kind of another part of this whole me reflection thing. 2018 is like a whole lot of looking at myself and what do I need to push and what do I need to kind of sideline for a while. Mm-hmm. I have kind of made it a mission to really put myself as far forward as I can, reaching out to as many people as I can, getting as many projects as I can. And the ass end of 2017 was bigger than I ever could have expected. It was just like contact after contact after contact, which I never imagined would happen. It's been fantastic. And I need to ride that wave. Mm-hmm. Like that needs to be a focus for me right now.
Yep.
Because this is what I want to do with my life. I work full time as an artist right now, but I'm not working for me. Mm-hmm. And so my goal, and it's ambitious, is this is what I want to do with my life, is I want to illustrate, be my own boss, design things for people. Like that's been my goal since I was a teenager. You know, I've been drawing half my life. And I'm not there yet. I'm nowhere near there yet. But, you know, it's one of those things, like if I don't invest the time and the effort into pushing this as hard as I can, it's never going to happen. And I'm no spring chick. You know, I'm going to be 40 in a couple of years. So it's like
a spring chick. I think you're always a guy.
I was a spring chick last week.
Spring dude.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like I'm the kind of guy who's always overanalyzing things in my life, and this is just something that I need to work on. And I've had a lot of support. I mean, Bobby's been incredible. Bobby's sending my kids to college. Yeah. You know, it's
ladies
like
put my kids through college.
And what has been so nice about that is not the fact that it is the fact that he's giving me work, but it's the fact that he's been so supportive.
Yeah.
And he's sharing what I've done, and that's guided people my way. And I couldn't be more appreciative to. I mean, I heard your show this morning. You were telling people about my shirts, and that means everything to me, because I can sit down here in this office for hours and hours on end and draw and draw and draw and draw, but it doesn't matter if people aren't appreciating it.
Yeah.
And when I hear somebody say that they like it, like that's what fuels me going forward.
Well, it is legitimate, and I think the cool thing about Bobby too is that he's actually showing people what to do with it. Like, it could be one thing just to get the pictures out there, but then to show like it creates an identity, it makes it fun, and all these different things. Like he's doing something with it, or doing something differently maybe than even your own self-promotion. It's like this different type of buy-in, and for Bobby it just makes sense, which is actually really interesting for him, because he draws too. Like like before all that, he used to like everything was by him, and now he's sort of like put that aside and let you sort of take over in that perspective. And I think that's awesome, man. I think it also gives other people who that's always been a sticking point for, you know, talking about all these new podcasts that are popping up and things. Getting good artwork is really tough, and even landing on a logo or whatever it is difficult. And if you are the solution for something that like thousands of people are facing, then heck yeah, put your own little like Easter eggs. Make everything have like a little.
I saw somebody finally notice that the If We Ran Nintendo board had Mario plus Bon Jovi.
I know.
Somebody finally caught on. That's been on there for a long time.
Oh, Bobby and I looked at every single one when that first happened. We were going through each individual like piece of text back there, every picture, like because we were just so blown away. It's so intricate. And actually, I want to talk about that too. Do you ever have like, does an idea ever get away from you, or even a pitch that somebody like had? Because I think Bobby actually wanted the boardroom thing, and was it you who came up with the whole like conspiracy theory, like pictures and threads and push pins and everything? Because that could easily get a little more complicated than just a guy sitting in a boardroom.
Every client is different. Some people are very particular about what they want. Some people don't know what they want. With Bobby, when he first approached me, he had like a laundry list of things, and we started with that one. It was the boardroom, and I kind of steered it a little. It was mostly what he wanted, but I kind of steered it in another direction. And once he got that, and he loved it, the rest of them, he's kind of backed a little further away with each one. Yeah. And now it's just like he trusts me, which is great. Like that's what you want as an artist working for somebody, is them to put their trust in you. Other people are just like, no, this is exactly what I want. I want you to do this and this and this, and make sure you have that and that, which is fine too. It can be good and it can be bad. Some people just, art can be a tricky thing. It's like branding is important. Some people just don't think about like the right color scheme and typography, things like that. They know they want a picture, but they don't really know what that means. And if you can give them the right thing right away and wow them, then that's
so.
That's
what
the
about
best
for
thing.
yourself though? Like for me, like I'm not a practiced artist per se, but I do know that if I were to kind of stretch that muscle a little bit, and I'm not trained enough, maybe this is something that comes with practice, where like an idea gets away. Like it's almost like scope creep, where you're like, oh, if I did this and I can add this, and then that means I gotta add this, and then I gotta add this, and keep going on, and then it's never done. And like, so I understand sometimes that can come from a client, but does it ever come from yourself where you're like, oh, that looks cool, what if I did this? And it just keeps morphing. How do you go, no, I'm done, that was what I had in mind, or that's close enough to what I had in mind? What's that? When is the thing done?
There's a fine line. I think sometimes people have this vision of, I've got to get as much of me in there as I can. And after doing this for as many years as I have, you learn to see when you're tipping the scales too far. For example, I did the Breath of the Wild poster for John for Christmas. Every year I draw John his game of the year. And he frames it and he puts it in his game room. And so this year was obviously Breath of the Wild. And the concept for this piece was Link standing on a cliff and the, not the Guardians, the legendary
champions.
The champions.
Yeah.
The champions are in the clouds. They're in the cloud formation behind him. And so I started thumbnailing that and putting that together. And then I started doing the background and adding like mountains and trees. And in your head you're like, okay, well, what is this game? You got Koroks, you got the castle, maybe you've got the big red lasers going towards Hyrule Castle. But you have to know when to just stop, because otherwise you oversaturate an image and you don't want it to be too busy. I don't know, you just kind of feel it. Like as an artist, you kind of have to sense when there's too much weight on one side of your canvas where you want to draw your eye, and if you have too much going on, it can be too overwhelming. So I mean, every art piece is different, but there's no right or wrong way to say it. You have to let the art kind of speak to you. And if you're working too hard to figure it out, then you've probably gone too far.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of like
simple.
And that's talking about sort of like one illustration, but then you're looking at sort of even just Megadaz as a whole is sort of that other sense of when are you done? Like when have you created enough products for like that to be enough for a recurring cycle of things? And it reminds me actually of, so an example for me of when things kind of got a little out of hand for me was when Chelsea and I first started dating. We may have been dating for a year or two. I can't remember exactly when this was. And she was really into Skylanders, and she loved, like she was a hipster about it. Like she liked it before it was cool. And like she just wanted to collect these toys. She just loved the aspect of like I could have every single one. And I think it would have been maybe the second or third year Skylanders were out because I started getting in on the hunt, and I wanted to make sure that I got to help her get every single one. And I wanted to make her a comic book of Skylanders taking over her condo. So this would have been, I guess, 2012 because we moved into this house in 2013, I think. And so I knew she was going to be moving out of the house, and she wouldn't have like necessarily like she's gonna have the pictures from the move and memories from there, but she wouldn't have like a dedicated like these pictures were taken because you were moving in a cool way. So what I did was I took pictures of the house. She had like her turtle and all these different like settings, like the oven or the bathroom where there's water, all the different like elements. And as she would open this comic book, which was on an iPad, it would walk through the different rooms or areas of her condo, and she would then get a new Skylander, and that's when I would present her with, okay, now you have this guy. And it was so great because I bought like this just like me and neighbor Matt used to do when we were kids. I bought this strategy guide, and I would use those illustrations to just copy. I would just draw them out, and then I would scan it. Like I didn't have a tablet like yours. I would scan it, and I would try to fill in the colors. But it got so out of hand because I just kept buying Skylanders that I kept having to take pictures, and then I kept adding stuff. I still haven't finished it. Like there are the scans of the drawings. I drew every one of them, but I never finished the comic. But I always wanted to go back to that. But that was an example of one of those things that just like it keeps getting away. But that was like obviously like 5 years. I haven't done anything like that since then.
It's all about balance. Like everything in life, whether we're talking about it. Whether we're talking about drawing a poster or the time you dedicate to your podcast, or did you make sure you tucked your kid into bed? Like everything is about balance. And I think that's hitting me hard this year. Yeah. I really do. I mean, not to get like super emotional or anything, but like the worst thing in the world is finishing whatever I'm doing down here and going upstairs and my kid's asleep and I missed bedtime. Like, where's the value in that? Yeah. I mean, I hate feeling like I'm doing less for the people that, like what we do. But at the same time, like, man, there's only so much time in the world. And it's tough. It's tough to juggle for sure.
Where else can you get more time?
That's
can you
the
leave
question.
Work earlier? Can you like? Is there anything because I'm trying to do the exact same thing of like where can there be more time? I started parking at work this year instead of taking the bus, and that's ruined my switch time. I'll tell you that much because I used to have like 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, and that's how I got through 80 hours of Zelda, but I barely. That was sort of the trade-off was I definitely have more time, but it doesn't feel like I have more time because the me time was actually the bus time, but now it's a little bit more productive. It's such a strange trade-off.
And you think about the story that you just told and the ambition and the time that you took to just do something that you were excited to do. Yep. And that was your life before. And now you have so many more responsibilities. You still have that excitement and ambition, but think about how incredibly difficult it would be to allot yourself the time to even attempt to make that comic.
The thing is, like, so for now I'm okay. Like now is good. I haven't like, we are in a similar boat, but we're still a couple years off. Like it's funny even to think of myself as a dad in the same sense that you're a dad, because Lincoln is not where your kids are, and having two is like I am way more scared for the second one than I ever was for the first one, just because of that balance that we're imbalance, the asymmetry of like, okay, this is like this one's gonna stick his fingers or nose into his socket, and this one's just like doesn't even know what's happening, just a blob laying there, and like needs full attention in a totally different way. So I'm not quite there yet, but the podcast allows to go back to a topic we talked about at the start, which was like, it allows for some regularity. This is This is podcast time. I do it in the exact same place, generally at the exact same time, for the exact same amount of time. I've got the system down. Like, to do anything else is, I don't know how. I guess there's that. Like, I still have basically, like, bath time and story time is mine, and then I throw Lincoln at Chelsea and she feeds him, and then like the evenings are ours. So it's basically that's the decision of, do I go to sleep or do I try and squeeze in a couple hours of games? Or last night I tried to go to sleep early and I just like sat there. So like there's that. Like I'm beat tired. Everything in my mind is telling me I should go to sleep, but instead I'm listening to Serge's podcast. And I'm like, I told him I'm listening, and he's like, "Oh, be kind." And I'm like, "Well," half an hour later, I'm like, "Well, I'm still awake, so I'll give you that."
Measure of success.
I'll give you
good
that.
Podcast.
Okay, so this is a thing that I do sometimes, where I will listen to a podcast to help me go to sleep, because, like, God help me if I'm alone with my own thoughts. Like, let me at least be my own thoughts can be drowned out by Dave Moore or Johnny Casino. But I will always go back and listen. If I do know that I fell asleep in the middle of it, I will always go back to listen. But it's a weird thing. One of these days, I'm glad actually I've recently got Bluetooth headphones where I no longer have like the same strangling hazard that I've basically been running for like the last like 4 years. I remember like the first time I tried it thinking like, this is really dangerous. And I woke up and I'm like, well, that was safe. I'll do that forever. Even though it's probably not very safe at all.
You don't want to get strangled by Sheldon Forgotten. That's no way to go.
Can you imagine that was the last thing you hear?
God, that would be terrible.
Oh man. Well, it would be fitting in a way too, in some weird meta kind of way. I think it'd be fitting. Adam, how are you liking your Xbox?
Ooh,
that sounds awesome, man.
I like my Xbox quite a bit.
Yeah. You want to try it again, or do you want to go with that one?
The hardware itself, I like. I really do. And the games that I have on it, I like.
Yeah.
I really do.
All right. Doing okay.
My problem with... See, I'm going to get so much hate for this.
Tell me how you feel. Oh, yeah, right. Like all the billions and billions.
Luke Lohrm will never let it go.
Listen, Luke Lohrm has already predicted everything about the show. He's already told me he knows what I'm going to say before I say it. So, that'd be an interesting listen. So there's that.
Luke's great. Luke and I, we disagree about so much, but he is the perfect person to disagree with, because he understands in the end, what does it matter?
Yep.
We have the greatest disagreements ever. It's
Speaking
beautiful.
of somebody, one of our friends who needs a podcast, let's encourage him to start his own thing. He's the smartest person we all know.
Mr. Genius.
There's another podcast starting up called The Greatest Game, and it's literally got a guy who works at NASA who's talking about games. He's his take on that. It's from the OK Beast guys, and it's just crazy. I want Luke to listen to that show and
there you
maybe
go.
Just copycat that one, because it's only gonna be around for 3 episodes. Anyways, your
Luke's
Xbox.
Great. Yeah, I mean, for Xbox, I am a guy who really, really likes my exclusive franchises. And what I like so much about my Switch is that it's got Mario and Zelda. And what I like about my PlayStation is it's got Uncharted and Last of Us. And the exclusives, by and large, not completely, but the exclusives, by and large, for Xbox just don't speak to me. I'm not a Halo fan and I'm not a Gears fan. Which are the 2 big tentpoles. I am very excited for Sea of Thieves. I'm very excited for Crackdown. And I just need something else. So right now it's my third party machine, and I'm very happy with that. I'm playing Call of Duty World War II right now, and it looks incredible. I am getting an experience on my Xbox One X that I can get nowhere else. The thing that's keeping me from loving it is I need a tentpole franchise that that really draws me to Microsoft as a studio. I don't know.
And I was hoping that would be Ori for you. I was really hopeful, and then I know that didn't really connect with you.
And I'm not ready to give up on that yet. I mean, I haven't gone back, but I plan on it still.
Do you?
There's always plans, right?
What's your backlog like? What's your plan? I'm completely overloaded. I'm such an idiot with digital sales. What have I have a sickness.
Yeah. I bought The Witness tonight for $10.
I did the same thing.
Did you?
Why?
I said to my wife, I said, I have to buy this. I said, I'm not going to play it for a while, but like, how do you not buy that for $10?
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'd love to tell you that I'm going to go back. I want to go back, but how do you go back sometimes, you know?
You probably got the experience you were going to get. But there's also this other thing that I've just been discovering, which is sometimes a game needs just the right place, or it needs to follow the right other game. Like if Chelsea dated anybody of like any quality at all, I would never have been I never stood a chance. But like her quality, her bar was so low, then I came around and was like, I mean, completely average, but compared to everything else.
So what you're saying is don't follow Breath of the Wild with Ori. Is that what you're saying?
I guess, and like like that's a simple way of looking at it, but like there definitely is some form of palate cleansing is the overused term, or whatever it happens to be. Like I think you and John talked about this too on Mega Dads, where part of it comes from where you have to review a game and like trying to be as objective as possible when that happens, and like your enjoyment of it. How do you measure in the deadline that you're facing, or the other game that you would rather be playing that you actually paid for, or all the other obligations that are related to, like the strings that are attached to this thing. I think that it's really, really difficult. That's a stressful part of creating the podcast, or even if you're not creating, just being part of the conversation, that you feel like you should be playing something or you're going to miss your shot. Like I am glad. I feel probably the luckiest thing that happened to me this year was Destiny 2 landed at a time that I was ready for it, and I actually bought it, and I had 2 weeks where I just went hard on Destiny 2, and I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. Like I want to. I think it's a great game, but I got so lucky that I spent like full pop on that game, and I actually liked it, because so many other times a game will come out. Mario Odyssey is a good example. I just wasn't ready for it, but I enjoy it. And it like, but if I were to have to rate it when it came out, I don't know where I would have been.
Right. I think it's really interesting too, being a person in this, a creator in this field, how seeing people react to your opinions and being surprised by it. I had somebody tweet at me after we put out our Game of the Year, and they were like genuinely shocked that I enjoyed a Nintendo game. And I was like,
you're bigoted against Nintendo, right?
And then like I couldn't tell if they were like just joking or if they really thought that I was slanted against Nintendo somehow. And to hear you talk about Xbox, like I know how I come across when I talk about Xbox. And it's not that I don't enjoy my Xbox. I'm enjoying my Xbox quite a bit. But I think I'm also kind of like, it's kind of the nature of our show, I'm kind of brash about my opinions maybe. And sometimes I think I come across being a little too cynical about something where, you know, when I think about my Xbox, like I play Fortnite on that quite regularly. I just played Edith Finch not that long ago. Like I'm really enjoying my Xbox. But I think other people might hear it differently. Like, oh, this asshole doesn't like Microsoft. He's never going to like his Xbox. He's a Sony fanboy.
Yep.
And you look at my Game of the Year, and it's like 2 Nintendo games and a third party. And to me, I'm just like,
you must fit inside the box, Adam Leonhardt.
It's very interesting to hear people express to you what they think your opinions are. And like in my mind, I'm just kind of like even across the board, and I just take things as I come. I like this as it's coming. I don't like that, and
you don't have any like rules that sort of predispose you one way or another. It's like the games are games, but that's the thing, is that the louder opinions seem to draw a bit of a box, but there's still like boundaries outside of that, even if that even makes sense. There's still the spectrum of things that we enjoy that are well outside of the boundaries that are drawn by the loud opinions that we put out there. I think is maybe one of the best ways to put it. And like, as somebody who loves my Xbox, I totally get every single slam against it. There's an update that they're pushing out with the alpha group right now, and it's going to come out to everybody else soon, that I think it something to do with like Game Hub, and there's more stuff that you can find in the in just that quick access menu, and it's like stuff for looking for group, and it's just like, all it did for me was highlight just how much stuff is slammed in there, and it's like trying to push stuff back to the front. It's like this revolving thing of this mess, and then it's cleaned up, and then they're like, oh, we hit a lot of stuff, so let's push that to the front, and it becomes what you started with. And I can't argue with that.
Xbox's interface is like the complete polar opposite of Switch, where you turn on the Switch. And I remember when I first got Switch, I'm like, where is everything? Like it's just like, here's a couple icons, you go, and that's it. There's no bells and whistles. Mm-hmm. And then I got my Xbox, and it was like I was having a seizure because there were so many menus and sub menus, and
that's and I know you're maybe being a little facetious. I don't think you actually had a seizure. If you did, I really hope you get that taken care of. But that's where I sort of disagree. So I will never defend to the death that Xbox's UI or UX is stellar. I get that. But I also don't think that it's like debilitating. Like, I don't think that it's putting anybody into like a coma or anything. Like, and I do think you can find most things. But that's the nuance that we don't get. And it's also not entertaining. Right. That opinion that I just put out there is probably something that a lot of people will agree with, but it's not nearly as entertaining as like I turned it on and I got a nosebleed and I fell over for 3 days. Which, I mean, maybe to one person it actually happened. And I get it. It's like that's the hyperbolized point. Yeah. Like there's but I think that's entertaining.
I guess I just kind of answered my own question then, why people like hear what I say, because I just said some stupid crap like that, you know.
But in your mind, you know the severity of how you mean.
That's how I process thought is with dick and fart.
But
jokes.
We're here to entertain too. Like, you want to put out your opinions, but you want to. We're not Luke Lohrm. We're not the smartest person in the room, so you might as well
have so many words.
Exactly. Man, why don't we? Do you have anything else that you had in mind? You wanted to? I always dominate with questions. I forget to ask. Did you have anything that you wanted to chat about tonight?
Oh gosh, I think we covered the most of it. I'd have to tell you that I'm like, I tweeted you guys this morning, but you should for real be super proud of what you're doing here in this space. Part of me feeling guilty about stepping back on the stuff that I do is I know how valuable what you're doing is. You and other podcasters like you in this community get me through my day every single day, and that's no lie. First thing I do when I sit down at my desk is I put my earbuds in, and great, here's a new podcast from such and such. And the unique thing about this community is not only are we entertainers, not only are we creators, but like we're genuinely friends.
Yeah, man.
And it's like listening to two of your friends just shoot the breeze for an hour while you have a stressful day at work. Mm-hmm. And you can just, it just helps that much more. So I was for real sad when you guys like packed it in with if we ran Nintendo. I mean,
Me too. That's why I couldn't sleep last night. I thought I was good with it. I thought I'd moved on, but that sucked big time, man. And
there's a lot of growth and a lot of change that's been happening with this scene over the last, 6 months. Mm-hmm. Things are changing, things are evolving, some stuff's going away, and that's just kind of like the nature of growing. Mm-hmm. We all, I mean, how many times have you thought, are we going to be in this same space in like a year or two? Like, how many of us are going to be gone? What happens when these shows wrap up? Not gone, like dead gone, but like,
the funny thing is, okay, so my reaction was as if you meant dead, but I was so sad to think about like the shows, what you actually meant. Like that did make me feel sad. You're right. Like, not everything is for, that's one of the things that I was trying to convey yesterday. And I don't know if it made any sense in the show, was like, I appreciated every moment. And I never took it for granted, but ultimately it had to end. Like, nothing is forever. Like, hopefully my marriage is forever. I hope, and hopefully I'm a dad forever.
Lost had to end, right? Like,
but they went back. Like, they even went back the second, third, fourth time, wherever they even landed. But I don't even know what the hell we're even talking about here. Yeah, it was hard to walk away. Right? Okay, so I actually wanted to, this is another thing. So that show and this show just sort of like led to so many other things, and I think we even owe Nintendo dads a lot of thanks. I never would have heard the Mega dads if it wasn't for the Nintendo dads, and it's just opened up to all of these other different friends and people we've all kind of been meeting together. And I have been genuinely bouncing back and forth between putting absolutely everything and all that I have into bringing us together in some meaningful way, and having the exact opposite reaction or thought a moment later going, that's the last thing that anybody wants or that I even have time for or anything. Like, but I just know that we're all better together, and I wish that there was a magical way for us all to just like dominate together, whatever the heck that means. But I truly get a sense from people that I talk to that the big podcasts are going away, and we occupy a space together in that what you talk about. We are our friend. We are all friends, whether we're making the podcast or just listening. We are all friends. We get to hang out, and that's the coolest thing is that we are putting this stuff out there so that we can hang out with other people in some weird meta delayed time travel kind of way. And I don't know what that means of bringing people together. Maybe it just never happens, but well, I do know that spiritually we are together for whatever that means.
I think ultimately what it comes down to, and the only way to perfectly synchronize all this, is we all have to have a sleepover at Jesse Waldak's house. I'll bring the Hot Pockets. Mm-hmm. You bring the notebook. We'll all just snuggle up at Jesse's house.
Okay.
And record just the ultra podcast, and the universe will just make sense.
Yep.
We'll all be happy forever.
I want Jesse and John, actually. I want John to be there as well. I want them to just like read stories. Like if we can just eat roasted marshmallows and sit around a campfire and have Jesse and John, like those guys are just so cuddly.
There you go. It's all about the beard. Mm-hmm. It's all about the beard.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think there's anywhere better that we can go there, Adam. Where can people find you on all over the internet, and all the 17 different things you can do, and how much you charge for art and all the other stuff you want people to do?
The easiest thing to say is just find me on Twitter. I am at the Art of Adam L. Everybody can feel free to tweet me, DM me if you want. If I enable that, I don't know. I'm not really good with Twitter. Just reach out. Like, I'm here for everybody. I love chatting. Even if it's not for art commissions, just say hi. Like, for real. Like, this is the best part about doing what we do, is the fact that we've made friends with like Mark Peterson and Luke Lohrm and Big Marky P. I sent him a message the other day. I'm like, where did you go? Like, I haven't heard from you for months.
Hope he's okay.
Like, oh yeah, he's totally fine. He's like, I just got a new job. I haven't been catching up with podcasts, but don't worry. And I don't know.
Congratulations, new job. That's nice. That's my brother just started a new job in January. That's a good thing to do. It's a big part of what.
It's good to refresh every once in a while.
That's for sure.
But
you're here.
But yeah, I mean, we're all friends. Nobody here is a celebrity. Nobody here's got a big head. We're all just dudes hanging out.
I'm trying to. I think my headphones would disagree with you because they're getting stretched out. Adam, thank you so much for taking time tonight, man. This has been awesome.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
We're done. I didn't mean to scare you. We're going to record this, and then you and I are going to go for some bath time and some story time. And that was right after this story time. Thank you so much to Adam for joining me. I am well aware of you trying to take it easy, and then me asking you to take time out of your day and schedule to just sit and chat for a little bit. But I really genuinely enjoyed that. I'm not just saying that. I even told you that after the show. That's real. Adam can vouch for that. Guys, remember, Adam is at the Art of Adam L. Be sure to go follow him if you aren't already, as if you're not. I mean, not to brag, but Adam and I are kind of friends, and you should be too. So follow him at the Art of Adam L. Thank you again for listening. Please subscribe, hit that thumbs up on the YouTube video. That would be amazing. Follow me. I'm at Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. If you missed, or this is your first episode, or for whatever reason, I give away games. There's going to be codes in the show notes, so check that out, guys. Be sure to do that, as well as listen to the Xbox Drive with me and Dave, and I'll order coffee in the middle of the show. It's ridiculous and stupid. And the Gaming Gurus, of course, with Bobby Pauls and Toby. All of this stuff is on the Dayspace Network. And otherwise, this is episode 124 of We the Gamercast. Is now in your ears. Thank you again for listening. We'll be back for regularly scheduled programming on Monday. I hope you'll be there. Now it's time for Patrick Stewart at the drive-thru.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stewart, star of TV's Star Trek: The Next Generation. and the host of the documentary series MGM, When the Lion Roars.
Okay, that's fine, sir. Can I take your order?
Yes, you can.
And what is your order, sir?
I'll have a quarter pounder with cheese and a side order of fries
Would you like
and a fillet. Oh, fish.
Would you like a cold drink with that, sir?
Yes, yes. For the sake of the future of all mankind, I will have a small Sprite.
Okay, sir, that's $5.20. Could you proceed to the first window?
The first window. The first portal to a new dimension. One greater, one more wondrous than our own.
No, just the first window of the drive-thru, please, sir.
Yes, then so it is that I proceed to this window of which you speak.
Thank you, sir.
Approaching warp speed.
What the f***? Mate, did you just drive into the back of me?
Yes, it is so.
Mate, are you some kind of f***ing comedian?
I am Patrick Stewart.
Mate, get out of the f***ing car.
And so, with heavy heart, I hereby withdraw from the vehicle.
Mate, look what you've done to my f***ing Duco.
You accuse me.
Mate, f***ing A I do. Here's your order, sir.
What manner of burger is this? And these slivers of potato extract?
Hey, Chrome Dome, are you gonna f***ing pay for my car or not, mate?
I am under attack. I must reason with this.
Mate, you are talking out your f***ing ass.
And so it is that I bid you and your people farewell.
What a f***ing dead shit.